during secondary school, primary school, university, it's geared towards primarily our career, isn't it? So we would say we have put in so much time to get to where we are in our career. For me, I've studied more than almost 20 years. Primary school, 6. Secondary, 6. University, how many? 5? 5. I did 5. You did 4. I did 5. That's 17. Masters, 1. PhD, 3. So how many? 21 years just to study to become a lecturer, despite other things I did. How many years did I study to be a husband? How many years, those of us that are married, did we spend just focused learning on how to do marriage? Anyone did 1 year, 2 years, any year at all? You see, that's the point.
Just hit the ground running. A lot of us just hit the ground running. Now, why are we saying this? It is important that we have the right competence for us to have a successful marriage or a successful relationship. We need the skills, we need the know-how. Now, today is so short for us to go through everything. So what we've decided to do is that we've decided to focus on a couple of competence. And the reason why we picked these ones is that we know that they would apply to whether you are single or you are married. So that's why we decided to focus on that. So we take the first competence, communication. So for us to be happily married and to co-live together, husband and wife, you need what? Effective communication. You just go in and communicate anyhow. So when you communicate anyhow, what happens? You don't get better results, right? Imagine sometimes you say, I'm just saying it the way I feel. I have to say it with my full chest so you can understand how I feel. If we all went about, what will happen? Problems, right? So communication is one we'll go through today. Conflict management, emotional intelligence, and financial management. So we'll take the first one, which is communication. Now I'll start with my own story, okay? One of the things I love to do is that we love to be vulnerable when we share. So we use our experiences, not that it's a yardstick for you to measure yourself, not that you're not alone in this journey. So when I first got married to this man, okay, I'll share you my own story. I handled conflict. Let me not say conflict. The way I communicate was very somehow. You know, women, are there women here that communicate somehow? Thank you, thank you. Because some people are very prim and proper.
Can you help us explain what you mean?
So let me explain my somehow. So now, I'm upset. It's done something to me. I'm upset, right? So I said it hot. Right? My first year of marriage, we got married in 2009. So this year will be the 16th year we've been married. August 29th, 16 years we've been in marriage. So I would just say it. I would just say it. I would just be talking like this is how I'm feeling. You know, you just say it.
Let me explain. Where someone speaks without filter, that's the impression where you're not thinking how is it going to impact on the emotional state of the receiver, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I'm concerned about expressing how I felt, and my mouth was my weapon of warfare. Yeah, it was very carnal. Now, where was that all coming from? Because I have to give you background. You know, sometimes when you exhibit certain behavior, it's got its roots. Because sometimes we want to address the behavior, but they are not addressing the roots of that behavior. Now, I grew up in a family where when my mom says something, her word is final. So when we were growing up, I didn't like that. But you know what you are exposed to, what is in your phone, it stores, you don't like it, but because that's all you situation that looks like that situation is what happens. You begin to act out what you don't like, but you just find yourself acting that out. So I found that was working in the relationship she had with my dad. And then I exported it, I took it. Remember, some of us, a lot of things we're acting out in our marriage is what we have taken from different places, aunties, uncles, whoever you've been. So you just, this is what happens in marriage. And I
didn't like it.
And you did not like it. He did not tell me, oh. You know what happened? He didn't tell me. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, this guy was just bearing the burden like a good soldier of Jesus Christ. He was just bearing me as a burden. Now, one day something happened. And I'm saying this because it is really important that we are careful about enabling certain behavior in our relationship. That in a couple of years' time, when you begin to call out that behavior, Your spouse would say, this is how I've always been. What's the problem? What changed? Right? So on that particular day, I think either 6, 7 months down the line in our marriage, he called me out and said something. That day there was no problem. There was no issue. Everything was fine. And he said to me, babe, I want us to talk. I want to have a conversation with you. Because when two people are in the house, go ahead and talk. You don't have to call me out. Come and sit down and talk. So I was a bit nervous about it because he has never done that to me. And he started to address that behavior. And he says to me, there's no problem now, but you know what? In our relationship, I appreciate that you're upset about things. However, we would never disrespect each other in our relationship. That's something we would not do. So if you are upset about anything, you have to communicate that to me respectfully. And I'll have to communicate that to you respectfully. We would not hurt each other's feelings just because we want to communicate. Now, that was when the penny dropped. He said to me, hey, sometimes when we disagree, you talk to me in a way that makes me feel like when I was living with my uncle. That was something that made me change. I was shocked. How can a grown man feel like when he was still living with his uncle? What is it about me that made him feel like that? Now, I made a decision. Yes, I'll be upset. And sometimes, now he's asking me, what's the problem? I won't say anything until I know I can respectfully communicate it in a way he will hear me. Because sometimes as women, we are saying something, but the way we arrange and package that, the delivery is not right. So what will happen? It will be rejected. You're saying the right thing, but in the wrong way. So it will not be received in the way you intended it to be received.
All right. So thank you for that story. The point.
Why are you thanking me?
It's a good story. It's a story of repentance. That's what makes it a good story. Exactly. So, back in the days, if you give your life to Christ, the evidence of giving your life to Christ is not that you came to church and you're dancing. We'll take you out on evangelism and tell you to minister to others what you have received. Isn't it? I don't think we do it now. Okay, we have to adopt that strategy. Maybe you post it on your social media. Once you give your life to God, friends on Facebook, I am now born again. Please join me and serve the Lord. You never know. So for me, it's a confession of repentance. The good thing about that story is that some of us, even as men, have gone through life trauma, life experiences that have shaped who we are. Maybe your mom was aggressive and you have vowed that, okay, I'm going to get married to a woman who respects me. And now you're married to a woman who reminds you of your mom. What that does is it strips a man of his self-image. So if the man doesn't want to look weak, he becomes aggressive. He becomes aggressive in his response, or he becomes quiet. If he becomes quiet, he's not saying a lot, but he's doing what he wants to do. If you like, he hits the wall. The man has made up his mind that this is how he wants to function. If the man sees another woman who appreciates him, who knows that he's a fine guy, who does not deserve to be spoken to disrespectfully, he will start connecting with that person. I'm not saying they will go into sexual immorality, but rather than spend time with the wife, he would rather spend time with the other person. This is what happens. Even when the woman is saying the right thing, like she said, he becomes defensive because he doesn't want to take on that kind of approach. What I need to advise us to do when it comes to communication is verbal communication is effective when it is done, when the delivery, remember, you're sending a message and you want the receiver to get that information you want to send. The question you have to ask yourself is, if I deliver this information, is the receiver getting it? If the answer is yes, then go ahead and deliver it. If the receiver is not getting it, what method works effectively? That's what you need to use. Some of us don't even communicate verbally, but your eye, the way you roll your eye, the man will be like, what's going on? So you're communicating, you're quiet, but you're communicating more. Some of us will keep quiet for 1 month. You have not really said much, and you have a lot in your mind. It's not going to help. So what we need to do is, there are things that you're bottled in your heart, and if you think your home environment is not the best place to have this conversation, find maybe a hotel, maybe a restaurant, where both of you will be there. Even if your woman is a very expressive person, she would also package herself, because there are people watching. That gives both of you an opportunity to talk about issues without flying off the handle. And a key point I want to make before we move to the next one is about active listening.
So when your husband or your wife is trying to communicate, because this sort of links to the third one, which is disruptions. Disruptions sometimes can prevent active listening. Now, I'll ask a question. How many of you, when you're having conversations, have got your phones with you? It's an honest question. Please give an honest answer. Let's give an honest answer. You're talking with your spouse or the person you're in a relationship with, and your phones are there. Even sometimes, I will tell you, because I'm guilty of it. Like, some of you can sit in church like you've never done it. Okay. My husband is saying something to me. I'm like, honey, you're not listening. Yes, I'm listening. Just talking. I'm just trying to send this message. How many of us have done that? How many of us are still? Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, this can be quite disrespectful. Number one, if you're speaking to your boss, if you're at work attending to customers or clients, are you on your phone? Except that customer is on the phone. Are you on the phone? You're saying to your boss, hold on a minute, I want to send a message. Do you do that? Now, that in itself, you can't multitask when you're trying to communicate. And I see this quite a lot. I think it's because we've come to a point where you've been married to your wife or your husband 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Then the whole see finish syndrome begins to seep in. And then you feel like you can do that. So you have to be actively listening. And when we say active listening, you're not listening to the sound of their voice. There are two things. You can be listening to somebody's voice to respond to what that person is saying. So you're listening to get a bullet to come back, not to listen to understand the heart of that person, right? So I'm communicating to you, and I'm trying to say something to you. Now, the first thing I say to you, you become defensive, and you begin to what? Try to build a case to come back at me and say, oh, no. The reason why that happened was because, now, what has happened in that instance? You have what that person is trying to say, because you're not paying attention to their, because sometimes, and please, men in the house, can I just plead with you? Sometimes when women communicate, they might be saying some words, but look beyond. I'm not saying it's right for us to speak anyhow as women. I've already given my own testimony as to how God delivered. But what I'm trying to say here is that there might be something beyond the words, and it's just the hearts that you have to pay attention to. So active listening takes a lot of effort for you to take away the noise. You cannot actively listen if you are listening to somebody else to come into your relationship and then listen to your husband or your wife. You cannot actively listen if the external noise is too much. The noise could be your phone. The noise could be your mom. Football. The noise could be your relative. The noise could be
football. Arsenal playing Chelsea. Arsenal play. You know, I'm guilty of that. The noise could be football, because I'm watching a game. Chelsea is playing, and like on Sunday, we are going to play a very critical game. And that's when my wife decides that we need to have a conversation. Now, for women, timing is important, because when you decide that that's when we are going to have a conversation, even if we are not where the TV is, the internal disruption is the game. So while I'm listening to you having the conversation, my mind is thinking, have they scored? What's going on in that game now? Yay! I'll run off the room, ask my son, who scored? Because my mind, internal disruption. Someone is speaking to you. Even as I'm talking now, someone is thinking about, I will open my business 7:30 tomorrow morning, because there is this customer I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
You're not listening, but you can hear my voice. You're not listening. So once you have things that block you from paying 100% attention to what is happening within your environment, you're missing out. You're not listening actively. We can go on and talk about that, but let's move on a bit before we go into the exercise.
Yeah.
The next one is conflict management. Now, we want to ask you, so we'll make it a bit interactive. Anyone can answer this. If there is a conflict between you and your friends, between you and your spouse, between you and your wife, husband, maybe someone you want to get married to, how do you resolve the conflict and how long does it take you? Anyone happy to go? Okay, please, can we give her the microphone?
I ask for something like that, and just so sometimes I just keep quiet, I don't even respond.
Okay, let me explore further the thing about keeping quiet. Your quietness, is it to allow the moment to calm down, or is it a silent treatment? Because there is silent treatment, and women use it a lot.
And some men.
Men, but it's more of, okay, let me not be gender biased.
Please.
Let me just say some people use silent treatment.
So ask her.
Yes, go ahead. Okay, thank you. So let's address that silent treatment. Someone has done something you don't like. You know that this person, if you tell the person how you feel, it's going to hurt the person, and you don't want to say it, and you resort to being quiet. The person now comes to you thinking, well, because she's quiet, everything is over. Men do that a lot. We think because our wives are quiet, they have moved on. Am I correct, guys? He's smiling. Yeah, that's what we do. You think everything is fine, even for those of you in relationship, because this person is quiet, they are not raising the issue because they don't want conflict. You think everything is fine. Everything is not fine. What has happened, if you move on and they decide to be quiet, let's say after 2 days, you ask the person, you want to engage in a different conversation, not giving you the vibe. You're asking, what's the matter? He said, nothing. Anytime you hear nothing, there is a lot going on. You probe again, what's the matter? Oh, nothing. Nothing is a cue for us to have a conversation. But you have to lead that conversation if there must be a headway. Am I right?
Yeah.
So don't take nothing as nothing. Don't also use silent treatment as a way of dealing with issues, because it's not going to work. Silent treatment is like avoiding and ignoring the issue. Otherwise, the person is going to repeat that same problem. The other thing about silent treatment is that because you know that if you're quiet, it's going to hurt me. So the treatment is for me to feel bad. Not necessarily because you don't want conflict. Am I right? Yes. So from the side of the men and women, please, could we avoid silent treatment? That's where communication also comes from. You have to speak about these things. Otherwise, they become serious issues.
I wanted to add something here, because the challenge with conflict styles is down to what we have observed growing up. Now, I also want to use this opportunity to speak to parents in the house. Conflict management is an essential skill, soft skill that we must pass on to our children. A lot of our children don't know how to manage conflicts because of how we have managed conflict. So if you really pay attention to your conflict management style, you will find out that you've picked it from somebody. You've picked it from maybe someone you revere, someone you've observed over time. So if your parents had an avoidance strategy, so they avoided talking about the issue, they don't like to address the issue, everybody just keeps quiet about the issue, you would observe that that is, even as a single person, because it's really important, it's who you are that you bring into the relationship. So if you're someone that would not talking about any issue, let peace reign. Or in your heart, you know that that issue is not resolved. For some people, they would rather talk about it, but it has to be aggressive. There has to be a fight. And if you trace in that family, there are always squabbles. There's always conflict happening in that family, because that's how they manage their conflict. And now you have gone into another relationship with somebody else who perhaps in their own relationship, in their own, where it's coming from, is everybody just pretend like nothing happened. So for them, it's strange. And before you know what's happening, they say this person is trouble. This person is trouble. So which style are you? Are you more accommodating? It takes a while though for someone to get to that. Or are you more avoidant, so you ignore the person? Are you more compromising? Let's find a middle ground, please. We have diplomats like that. Okay, we are in this thing together. You are not moving, I'm not moving. Can we just find the middle ground and let's move on with it? Are you more win-win? Now, that also is a challenge, because if you have someone who insists, you are insisting, both of you are insisting on being right, I would rather be wrong and have a peaceful relationship than be right. Now, let me talk about the very first thing, which is anger management. This is really important. And for those of us that are still single, perhaps this is something you need to explore. Now, I almost, again, I'll tell another story. I almost lost this guy. I was trying to find out what he was like when he's offended. Angry, not offended. The offense is milder. When he's upset, really upset. I wanted to find out. So those days in APSU, he will come to me and, I would annoy him. He didn't know. I will annoy him intentionally. Why? I wanted to see if he was the kind of guy that would hit. There are people like that, right? They will hit you when they are upset, right? Was he that kind of guy that will hit or do something out of the ordinary? And I kept pushing the boundary. I kept pushing the boundary. And
she almost lost me.
I almost lost him. In fact, he almost gave up in the relationship. No, this woman is trouble. Now, having said that, it is really important, because one of the tests of love is this. You really need to know, what is this person like on the other side of anger? Because for some people, you will have to go back to ask yourself, is this person, or is this somebody else? Like, this manifestation, it looks like something just came on her, and it's very different. Now, for singles, it is really important that you test someone. Some people are very impulsive. They will store it, they will woe betide the person the day that thing decides to erupt. The magnitude, when it erupts, when they say it's how many, the magnitude of the eruption, you might not be able to contain. And it could be very damaging. And some people could be very explosive. Many relationships that we cancel today is down to anger management. I've seen people who have hit their wives, blue, black, anger management. I'm not saying in Nigeria, I'm saying there. From a cultural point, the woman now tries to shield the guy. She, for whatever benefits, doesn't want to report. Because a lot of us get married for different benefits. Some people are financial, so many benefits. There's benefits on that marriage for some people. So because of that, she stays in an abusive relationship. You don't want to be that person in that kind of relationship. And I've also seen men who are being dealt with by women who are not able to rein in their anger, control their anger. It's terrible. So anger management is really important in conflict. I would say that offenses must happen. The person closest to you, like you heard yesterday, will be the person that will hurt you the most. So imagine, and anger is not even good for your system. You have high blood pressure. Why? It has a lot of health concerns. I know we are saying these things, you don't understand the magnitude of it. I've seen somebody who was so angry that she collapsed. Why? Her heart could no longer carry what's it called now? The bandwidth of the anger. It was too much. She collapsed. And ever since then, she's been on high blood pressure medication. Why? Anger.
Okay, I want to add to that, because now we are saying anger management, and someone is wondering, I've got issues with anger. How do I manage it? Back in the days, I used to be very aggressive, used to be very anger issues. I'm telling you, probably because of where I was, environment where I was exposed to, I'm conscious of the fact that this is streaming life. So when you are exposed to an aggressive, hostile environment, that could influence the way you manage your emotion. And if you express anger in a certain way or your emotion in a certain way, your children can also pick up those threats. So how do you manage anger? I read a book during COVID, 7 Habits of Highly Effective, and that book changed my mindset. That book told a story of a man whose children were crying, they threw themselves on the floor. How many of you have read the book? 7 Habits of Okay. Throwing themselves on the floor of the aircraft, and people were shouting, stop these children from disrupting or disturbing everyone. And the man didn't say what? Everyone was shouting, what's wrong with you? Talk to your children, take care of it. The man didn't say what. After so much, he now said to them, please leave these children alone, because they just went to a hospital where their mom passed and she was taken to a morgue. Immediately, all the people that were saying, let them be quiet, their mindset changed. They started saying, oh, so sorry. Oh, why? Perception.
Yeah.
what you're thinking. Your feeling is a product of your thoughts. If you can change your thoughts or what you're thinking when anything happens, you will never be angry. Say, for instance, your wife, both of you have planned to meet or to be home at 7 p.m. You're home, she's not home, and she has the key to the door. You try to ring her phone, it's not going through. What is the first thing that will come to your mind? What is wrong with this woman? She knows that I'm supposed to be here. She has the key, she has switched off her phone. This woman, she has her phone, she's not picking her call. What's wrong with her? If you keep thinking that way, 1 hour she's not home, you'll be angry. Well, why not think for my wife not to be here at 7? What has happened to my wife? It's possible. Is it an accident? Oh my God. Once you start thinking that way, you're not going to be angry. Give the other person the benefit of the doubt. Don't worry, even if she comes and says to you, I went with my friends to what's the best eatery around. We just went on a hangout and we wasted our time. If she says that to you, still tell yourself, maybe she forgot that she was supposed to be home and open the door at 7. The reason, if your wife is sensible, listen, have you guys noticed that there are so many men have high BP? Men die. You just hear someone just slumped and died. My philosophy of life is anything that is outside of my circle of influence, I cannot kill myself about it. That's the truth. She chooses what she will do. I choose what I will do. I choose how I will. I choose not to be angry, no matter what happens, because I know anger does not work out God's righteousness. You see, that scripture changed my heart, changed my mindset. So whatever happens, tell her. If you ask her, she will tell you. I rarely get upset, because when you're angry, you're not dealing with that person. You're dealing with yourself. That's the truth. If I decide not to eat my food, fine and good. I will eat it, keep the rest. He's dealing with himself, not me. If he decides to be grumpy, you will not use your feeling of anxiety or whatever and put it on me. No, I choose how I will. So I will decide if your action should make me angry or not. Is my choice. So don't say someone is making you angry. Don't say he has made you angry. Choose to be angry or not. Yeah. And the way to avoid it is give yourself 101 reasons why that person has behaved the way the person has behaved. Even if the person has behaved in a conscious manner to offend you, just tell yourself, this person's level of knowledge is low. That's why this person is behaving that way. Let me give you an analogy. If you have a giraffe, how high is a giraffe? Very high, right? And you have a tortoise. Can they see at the same level? So, in every issue, someone is looking like a giraffe and someone else is looking like a tortoise. Let a giraffe argue with a tortoise. They cannot see at the same level. So there are issues you don't need to kill yourself about. My students ask me sometimes, why do you go to class from morning till the end? You're smiling, you're happy. Isn't that this job is not stressful? I choose to be happy because it's my choice. I tell them I'm doing this job because I love what I do and I have to bring my best foot forward doing this. You see, whatever happens, don't lose your sleep. That's my point. Let's move to the next one, which is emotional intelligence. And this is what would also help you. First, I'll talk about self-awareness. Self-awareness is where you know your strengths and your areas of improvement, not limitations. So maybe we change that word. You know your strengths and you know areas that you need to improve. If I know I have issue with how I manage my emotion, what do I need to do? Leave it the way it is? No. I have to start working on myself. And the good thing about God's word is that every change we need is in God's word. So when we read God's word and allow the Holy Spirit to interpret God's word, to change our thinking and our mindset, our behavior will be different. Remember, your action is a product of your thoughts. Your thoughts are a function of the information you've encoded in your mind. So if you delete or reprogram your thinking by bringing in new information, your behavior would align with that. The other one is self-regulation. When we talk about emotional intelligence, self-regulation, and I think I've talked a bit on that. You regulate your feeling, your emotion, and all of those. And then you have motivation. What motivates you? You have to create that internal motivation. Even if your spouse is not as responsive and responsible as you expect, you need to find a place of motivation. And then empathy, put the other person in your own shoes. Social skills, very critical. As a single person, you've seen a young lady that you love. Don't wait until someone else, pastor will announce that she's wedding next month. Then you go home to cry and say, if I had known, I would have proposed to this lady. Social skills means go out there, mix up with people. If you tell someone good morning, what would you receive in response?
Good morning.
It's the philosophy of life. If you want someone to speak to you, go and speak to the person. Try walk on the street, see someone you don't know and say good morning, hello, good morning. They will respond positively to you. So we have to learn social skills. You're on social media, right? Put forward your ideas, okay? Get into that ability to believe in yourself and to express yourself. No one is going to kill you for it. That's what.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
So the single people in the house, how many single people have we got here? Then plenty.
Are you
Okay.
single?
So how many of you are on Instagram? You're on the gram. How many of you have your what's it called again? You have your on Instagram.
Profile.
No, not verified. The one that someone needs to ask.
Lock, private.
Hey, how many of you have private profile? How do you expect to be seen as a single person? No, you are on social media where you can be visible, but your profile is on private for yourself. You marry yourself. Does it make sense? Your Instagram or your Facebook is a tool. Do you know you have a tool in your hand to be visible? So how many of you are on platforms where, I'm not talking of where they have, dirty jokes and things, where they make sensible contribution, because on those kind of platforms, you meet people who have sense on those platforms as well. How many of you are there on those kind of platforms? So when someone posts, do you go there to comment or to share the post or something? Do you do that? You do that? How many of you do that? Because some people are on Instagram and they say, oh, I'm an introvert, or you're on social media. Because it can be a tool. Let me tell you this particular testimony. So there are two friends of ours. One, now, how did they get married? They just got married like a year or so ago, not too long. How did they get married? One was both of them were on Twitter X, right? So somebody made a post on the forum or something like that. This other person went there. So someone else made it. It was neither the girl nor the guy. Somebody else, random, made a post. So the lady that was in Nigeria, who is a medical doctor, went on that platform and went there to comment. So she gave her own views on that post. Now, this guy in the UK, who is also a medical doctor, saw that post. And you saw the post, but what caught his attention was what? The comment section. So he now said, I like this top line. So he now clicked on profile, went to check her out on profile, and now sent her a DM. He DM'd her, right? So she felt, all these Twitter boys. So she did not respond to that request. Now, another random post was made a couple of months later. She now went on that post and commented. This guy was like, now went and said, but I have sent you, he now screenshots the day he sent the first message, second message. So she now randomly accepted, just reluctantly, this boy is bothering me. She accepted the friend's request. And then he said to her, oh, whereabouts are you? We can actually meet up. Thinking she was in the UK, right? So she said, no, I'm not in the UK. So she came down to do one of the exams they do, and then said to him, she was in the UK. She was here to do the exam, gave the location. He went to her location, met her in person. The rest is history. That was how they met. Now, because I see a lot of young people on Instagram, the only on what they contribute to are useless or meaningless conversations. So how do you expect to be visible for the right reasons? Or you don't contribute at all? They say a closed mouth is a word. Exactly. So why do you want to close your destiny? So you need to be visible. When conversations are made, add your 2 cents, but make sure that your 2 cents is sensible. You have to get and write something reasonable. That's how you get visible on social media. It's a tool.
I also want to add that these days, before people get married, they check those people out on social media. It might not be you doing the checking out directly. If anyone tells me, oh, I'm getting married and I don't know this person, the first question I'll ask is this person on social media? You say, yes, send me the person's profile info. Let me check the person out. I'm being honest with you. I'll check you out, look at the kind of things you post, look at to know if I'll say, well, it's up to you. There are things I'll say, I'll tell you, see this one, please, run. So please don't think, well, I'm my own on social media. You're not, you're in a global village.
Yep.
Okay? What we're doing here, someone in the UK is watching it. So you might be surprised who is interested in what you have to offer. For me, the most important thing is value.
So let's talk about the final thing, which everybody loves. How many of you like money? Oh, people that have been asking questions, none of them responded. So let's talk about financial management. I'm going to pick on some people. Please bear with me if I pick on you. Now he's not looking at me. He's looking away. Sir, please, come, please, if you don't mind. Please.
Are you married?
Are
you married?
This is your business. You never know.
Are you married? Are you planning to be married? No? Yes?
He ain't sure.
No, for now. Okay.
For now, okay.
I would have said, if you're planning to get married, maybe you will know what the issue is. If money is the issue, we'll find a way to sort you out.
So I want to ask you a question. It's a very personal. Do you keep a track of your income and expenditure on a monthly basis?
It's confidential.
No, I'm not. Wait. Hold on. I'm not saying how much. I'm not saying don't give me the details. I'm saying, do you have a book or whatever that you keep what comes in and what goes? I don't want to know. I'm saying where you document what comes in and goes out. You do that on a monthly basis. Please put your hands together for me. Put your hands together for me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Are there other people who do what he does? You keep your on a month. Let me say monthly, because maybe not everyone can do it on a weekly basis. On a monthly basis, can I see a show of hands, please?
Remember, you're talking to women who are in business. I know what you're saying, but let's remove your business money from financial record, because obviously, if you're doing business, most of you here are very detailed when it comes to your business. Now, let's look at your income, financial management for you. Unless your business and your personal are together, which is not right.
Separate. So I'm saying personal income and expenditure. How many of you do it? You know why I'm saying this? Okay, how many of you don't do it? Okay, I can see some hands. I know some people are not saying anything, they're just sitting on the fence. It's complicated. What can be complicated about writing what came in and what went out? Please give him the mic. I need to hear what he has to say. He says it's complicated. I need to hear what he's saying. Yes, hallelujah.
Because how the money comes in and record is kind of difficult. So some persons are someone like me. I've devised a means to keep myself in check. Not a proper record like a record book, really expense and write it down. But then I know what I have per time because I'm not so rich that I don't my work. Now, there's the level I get to financially, and I pause every expenditure until I retain myself. I don't have I have my account, separate account for separate things. There's one, we're savings, like maybe on the regular.
You're already taking. An
account I used to receive money for my business. There's no routine.
No, that's a record. Because all you have to do is to pull a bank and you're able to track.
You're already doing it. That's why
you're keeping everything separate,
exactly.
In a way that's easy for you to track. My point here is that financial literacy is not just for accountants. For some people say financial literacy is for people that studied accounting or for people that did banking and finance and all of that. Financial literacy is a need, is a must for everybody. Do we agree on that? Do anyone have an objection to that? It's a need. Even in the Bible, when Jesus talked about the parable of the talents, remember, there was a need for accountability. So now, let me say, the reason why a lot of people have money problems is that they also had issues with financial literacy as a single. So when they come into marriage, is what you bring your baggage, you bring what you are into your marriage, right? So if you're not disciplined to be financially accountable, how would you know when you are overspending on clothes, or you're overspending on hair, or you are overspending on makeup, or you are overspending on perfumes or luxury wristwatch or whatever it is, right? How would you know if you're not able to track it? Now, the reason why a lot of some women, let me not say a lot, some women struggle with being financially accountable in marriage is that they were not used to it as single women. So when you come into marriage, you're wondering, is it just this 50,000 that you want to give me now, that you want me to now document? I don't understand. And now you're married to somebody perhaps who is quite surgical, who is a business minded person and wants to keep a track record of what he does, right? Now, before you get into a relationship, one of the things that you have to do is that both of you need to sit down and talk about your do a financial diagnosis. Where are you? Some people have married people and they didn't know those people were already in debt and they married them. And then after getting married, no, this is real, oh, don't laugh, this is real. After getting married, people started showing up at their doorstep asking for the money because you're paying them, and they expect that now it's time for you to pay me. Now, how much is the money? Money is into millions. You say, how did you do that? No. This was before, like before I met you. No, you didn't even know that this person is financially deficit, and you had not done a diagnostic check. Because sometimes one thing you think you feel that is called love. So it is really important that before you get married, part of your conversation in courtship, I'm speaking to the single people now because for the married people, it might be a different thing. Ask the person, what is your what does it look like? Your financial record, what does it look like? Because it's means that you know where that person is financially. Are you on a deficit? Are you on a surplus? Really important.
Can I share a story? All right, let me share a story. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Exactly. So there was this friend of mine, a childhood friend, who got married. For some reasons, she got married to the wrong guy, the wrong person. While they were planning, first the signs started during her traditional wedding. I traveled from Lagos to come for her traditional wedding. The traditional wedding was supposed to start at 12. You know, usually before you start the traditional, the ceremony, you first of all do the inner house thing, pay for the dowry, all of those. Do you know, we waited until 4 p.m. The guy and his family did not show up. I kept asking, what's the matter? He said, they're on their way. I've called him, he's coming. For me, that was a red sign. Now, when eventually they came around 6 p.m., unfortunately, they didn't have the items on the list. They didn't have the money to do those things. This lady started crying. I had to take her away from the whole scenario, encourage her. They postponed the wedding. I thought that was a good reason for her to walk away. The next news I heard was that they were already fixing their wedding. After, she didn't tell me because I told her this marriage should not work. This man that I saw today is not the right person. So after like a month or thereabout, I had them wedded. She from nowhere reached out to me that she wanted to speak to me. And she narrated to me what happened on her wedding day. This man went and borrowed money, created a very flamboyant wedding. She did not visit him. She didn't know where he was living. After wedding, let's go home. The man said, I have booked a wonderful hotel where we'll do our honeymoon. So they went to the hotel for the honeymoon. The lady said, but how can we live in a hotel? Our things, gifts, everything. The man said, don't worry. They tried to do what husband and wife do, make love. It didn't happen the first night. The second night, it didn't happen. That second day, the lady said, but why are we spending the little money that people give us in a hotel? He said, don't worry. He made sure that he succeeded sleeping with her before he now said to her, sorry, I don't have a home. I am living with my uncle.
Yep.
They now carried, and the uncle gave them a part of his uncle building. So the lady said they used wrapper to block the window and all of those. They started living there. I'm telling you, this is God's house. I'm not making this up. This is someone I know. and I hope she's not listening to me. Do you know that this man will beat this lady, black and blue? No job. He said he was into car business. You don't have, these people when they go to Apapa, there's a place they sell cars in Lagos. You go there and be hustling. If someone buys a car, they give you
Commission.
he wasn't doing anything.
Yes.
The problem wasn't that he wasn't doing anything. The man's financial state was terrible. People were coming to give them back the loan he took from them. The little money they got from the wedding, they used to sort out the loan. This lady, who was a teacher, had to give up her teaching job in order to start making hair because they moved away from where they were to live with the uncle somewhere far away. She lost her job and all that. Why am I taking time to explain this to you? Before you do research, I told her I blamed her, but she blamed God. Yes, she cried and blamed God. Say, God, you know that I have been your child. I kept myself. I did not commit fornication. I was a virgin. I said, it does not apply. You're blaming God out of your ignorance. It doesn't apply. And now she's remarried because it was based on deception. That for me is not a marriage. So before you get to the point of blaming God and say, God, you know I paid my tithe. I gave my offering. I was very active in AG Worship Center, Abba. Why will you allow me to marry this man that is so mean and wicked? Before you get to that point, research. Even for the men, not only women, research. Know where this person is coming from. Know where this person is coming from. Know the baggages, not just the financial aspect of it. And know the person's relationship with money.
Yep.
Some people love money more than their life, and they can even kill you because of money. I'm being honest with you. Some people love money that they don't mind getting married to a wicked man as long as he has money. That's all they are looking for. They love money. But you see, that mindset is the lowest level of mindset because why not be the one that has the money? What stops a woman from being rich and financially comfortable? What? Nothing. So the Bible also says that the love of money is the root of all evil. Money is good, but not the love of money. So when it comes to financial management, whether as a single or in marriage, 3 key points are critical. You have to be credible. You have to have credibility. You have to be honest with your money. You have to be transparent. You have to be that both of you are transparent to each other. You can't be making money and your spouse is not aware of how much income you make because you have to combine your resources in order to make achievements or make an advance your life. You have to be responsible in your spending. Remember, the money you have is not your money. It's God's money. First and foremost, it's God's money. Whether as a man or as a woman, it's not your money, it's God's money. And He is the one that will advise you, direct you on how to apply those.
So I need you to engage if you can. This is an exercise that will help you as a person. So if you can, please. If you got writing material, anybody got writing materials? Phones or pen or jotters? Oh, fantastic, fantastic. I can see people already have some. Okay, yeah. So I want to use this principle. The principle I love this particular concept, the Johari window. I don't know how many of you have heard about the Johari window. So this is a tool to help people understand themselves better. It's a self-awareness tool. I use this when I teach business leaders, strategy management, whatever. I use this tool and it is very effective. It can apply to anyone. It can apply even in relationships. So we're going to be using this today to do an assessment, a self-assessment of ourselves and our spouses, okay? So you see the first quadrant over there, the one on the top left, or my left, but could be your right, is called the open area. So the open area, when you see that quadrant there, that is what others know about you and what you know about yourself, right? So that's the open area, what is out there. So when somebody says, who is Amara? They say some things. I say, yes, in agreement. That's who I am. So that's open area, right? So I'll be asking you to make a list of what's in your open area. Now, I know you can see, oh, thank you, whoever is doing that. Thank you for highlighting that. I know that some of you can see 4 equal, but for some people, that open area is very small. It's not like that, okay? So that's the open area. The next area is called the blind spot. So that's the one next to the open area, blind spot. Now, the blind spot is what others know about you, but you don't know about yourself. So you're surprised when somebody says, this is who you are. You're like, me, how? That's your blind spot. So there is a reason why they know that about you, but you don't know that about yourself. The information about yourself that others know in a group, or even your husband know about you. So it could apply to the singles as well. So other people in your circle, they know about you, or your spouse, but you don't know about yourself. So others may interpret you differently than what you expect. That is your blind spot. Now, the third area there is called the hidden area. The hidden area is what you know about yourself that you don't want others to know.